lose that. Well guys, we're going to start on a little journey here that I did not expect. We have what I was hoping was a donor cab, and it did not turn out as good as I wanted it to. Let's get into the issues of what I'm seeing and what we're going to do to fix it. All right. So our original cab here for the 40, it's a great cab overall, relatively speaking, considering the age, except for all along the old eyebrows here. It's just plain rotten. And the inside panel where the windshield wipers go, I'll show you that in a second, completely rotten out as well. I talked to this guy, David Freiberger actually showcased, I believe it's Turner Salvage Yard in Southern California, I think by Modesto. And the owner of this pickup has family just very, very close. So he called down there and they said, yeah, we have 3 cabs. They thought they were GMCs, but they believed them to be the same basic cab. They're very, very close, but they are not the same. Anyway, short story, for months now I have been kind of looking around for a cab, but really waiting for the guy to make his trip to Southern California, which was planned anyway for a visit. And then while he was there, he was going to check them out and bring one back. The price was reasonable, so no big loss there. But unfortunately, we have more issues than we do answers. So let's take a look at some of those. So first of all, it would help if it was out in the sunlight, you know, where you could really get a good look at it. But if you get down eye level to the top of the cab and squint real hard, you might see that there's a dent. Somewhere, well, I did feel it earlier. Now it's gone. I don't know. Anyway, a bit of an issue in there, you know. Now, he did say this was the best of the 3 cabs. So, oh goodness. Interestingly, the yellow is the original color. And then at some point here and there you can see it was repainted a blue or a green or something. But you peel that off, there's shiny metal underneath. Now, you take a look at the original firewall, and you take a look at our donor firewall. I have no clue. There is no data plate left on this thing. I'm coming into this thing second hand, third hand, whatever you want to say. I've had no contact with the salvage yard. The owner, like I say, went and got it, and he was just going on information that he was given. So I really don't know what weight of truck this was. And like I say, hearsay is this was a GMC. As such, we have an 1.5 inch bump out here on the firewall. Now initially I was thinking, okay, that's no big deal. It wouldn't be too terribly much work. Drill out all the spot welds here, drill out all the spot welds there, and transplant firewall. Could be done. But we have other problems. I've looked at a fair number of these cabs in the past year, and a common trait seems to be you get rust right here, no matter what. And I imagine dirt falls down on the inside, gets packed up. There's a brace along in here on the inside. It gets packed in there, and it just eventually eats that away. We have the same rust happening on each side, but on this one, all along the entire bottom of the belt line is completely rusted out, cracked, crumbly, terrible. Additionally, on the new cab, we have a lot of rot down here. And around on the inside, a lot of the inner construction, this is all kind of rotten, and none of this looks too good in here. We would anyway, but take it all apart and have to fix and fabricate and replace a lot of that. Some small additional differences on this donor cab. We have circles where our cal seal clips go. This one has a couple of extra spots on each side that still were not used, but they're there, and they are not present at all on our original cab. And then we have kind of nutserts installed in the cal down there to hold the rear arc of the fender on. That is not present on our original cab either. Now, when we go back to the original form of this vehicle, I would have to look back at pictures of how the stove bolt sat, how close inside this baby bump here. You know, I think the draftsman was given the task, we need room for the back of the stove bolt. Come up with something. And in a panic, maybe he was newly family man, his wife, you know, was early on in her 3rd trimester there. It's like, honey, let me get my drafting tools and just take some measurements, you know. And I'm sure it was a lot of fun that night. But anyway, this bump in, I don't remember exactly where the back of the valve cover, back of the block, you know, how close we got in here. But certainly when we have put the cab on the frame with our small block and automatic transmission, things are getting pretty tight. The distributor's sitting right in here, and so this extra 1.5 inches coming towards us, I think we would get into a little bit of trouble. Additionally, to compensate for this 1.5 inches, our floor measurements, our floor pan, which I've gotten there, that is 1.5 inches longer than the original. So I've got that now from this cab, but I will actually have to cut that down 1.5 inches. The difference they put is in this piece right down here, where this is like, I don't know, maybe 5 inches. It's 3.5 or whatever it is on the original. But I do readily admit this thing has got a sweet battery box. Quick change out the side, you know, and then they had a barn door hinge, and it must have had a swinging bolt, you know. Throw a wing nut on there and you're good to go. Being from Southern California, I guess the heater just was not as important. Anyway, what are we gonna do? Well, given the fact that to make this thing correct and work for us, we would have to do just as much work as fixing this one, if not more. You know, so this will provide parts that we need, and we are just gonna make this one do. I've already been playing around with the windshield last night yet when I started this segment, and I'm not changing wardrobe, you know, and things. Well, I am, but never mind. So I'm going to get this off. I need to get this one off. And we'll start laying out and cutting our rod out. Oh yeah, this is kind of nice. I still can't get a good angle. bad that's not big enough, I'm sure, to use to color match it, but there's a good indicator of the original interior paint. Well, at this point, I'm just going around removing all our trim strips that hold our door weather stripping in, taking off these headlighter bow trims, kind of just like a madman. I'm just going around undoing screws here, you know. I'm going to get our back panels out if I can, and I'll take it all in to the media blaster, but we definitely want to blast and seal up what's behind everything. Probably shouldn't let that bend and bow there. It's interesting. This cab is predominantly these standard slot head screws, and they all appear to be original. And the other cab is predominantly clutch head, you know, which could certainly be a difference between Chevy and GMC. And if I get all these off, get this door taken care of, got a few on the bottom, then this whole panel should come out. Otherwise, we're looking pretty good. Mm-hmm. This last screw is a son of a gun. I've already broken the threads off the bottom side with a vice grip trying to get it to turn. This is barely held in. It's probably rusted under the head, you know, but and this metal's all cracked around it. I could easily just yank this thing out of there, but that seems detrimental to the restoration mindset, you know. Well, we'll see if just a little bit of heat is going to help the situation here. Otherwise, this thing is 100% ready to come out of here. Let's give that a shot. Yeah. Start those corn leaves on fire down there. That'll be good. Alright, the last thing I'm going to do here before we start cutting is I'm going to harvest our rain gutters. Get them out of harm's way, because that would just be a mess trying to make them look right again. So I guess I will do this times 4 probably, if those are any good. If a guy in his lifetime can avoid having to remove rain gutters off a vehicle, especially if that vehicle was already considered older and used, by the time our forefathers were storming the beaches of Normandy, you know, you may want to go ahead and avoid that. I'm trying really hard, really hard not to completely mangle these, and that's difficult. I may not even be this gentle on our donor cab. In fact, we may just cut right through it. You know, I hate doing that, but I don't need to spend another hour removing a rain gutter. Oh, this is going to be a trial when nothing swivels. So I can try to take those out. Well, I pushed that out in the other part of the shop. I'll do the cutting out there. I didn't even like doing what I did in here with all these other nice vehicles going on, but in this shop, with the weather the way it is, a guy sometimes just has no choice. So I'm going to clean up a little bit, and I'm going to do what I just showed you. Not really all over again. Some of it will have to be redone. It's going to be fun. And then I already marked out how I'm going to cut that cab. I will go through it with you on this one, and we will get to work there. Just a second. Well, I'm about ready to push this thing on out to the other side. Break on through to the other side. But I figure we might as well lay out our cuts here where there's not so much echo, you know. Got this nice header panel with their windshield wiper access points. I love the clip. You know, I can just imagine this guy clipping his invoices or fuel receipts or lading, you know, his load bills and so on and so forth in there. Whatever this thing was used for, I don't know. But that's pretty cool. There again, you can see that nice grayish putty. I don't know if you can really see that in this light. The grayish putty of the original interior. I really personally want to match that. This thing, all the clutch heads, I got all these to come out on the header except one. I had to drill one out. Using heat, I got them to come out. But our trims on our A-pillar, all of that just refused to budge, even after I got them red hot. So they got drilled out. Anyway, let us continue. Yeah, I'll get the fan so we don't have that droning in the background. Alright, so typically CGE is a good acronym to live by. Close is good enough, you know. But we'll try to do a little better in this case. And there's always inconsistencies, especially among, if this is indeed a 39 GMC, you know, there's going to be inconsistencies. I'll just say it like that. So I have my ever-present upholsterer's tape here that I like to use. And so what I did on the other side is basically we need to find two consistent points across from each other to measure by, to make a straight line, or quote unquote a straight line. So what I did, going off the top line of our brow here, I go down into the corner of our rain gutter, where the top of the cab meets the rain gutter. Let me do this one since you're over here. Get the crud out. Stick that down in there where that meets the edge. And I'm just going to kind of follow our consistent line here, and I want 6 inches from the edge of our cab down in here. And these are just arbitrary numbers that I came up with, okay? It just suits my purpose. So 6 inches right there. Follow our line, 6 inches right here. And what I do with my square. Here it is. Now I've got my square. This is going to be squared to nothing. It's just a consistent line from the first cab to this cab. Just going off the brow again, line it up with my 6-inch mark, and make a little bit better on the line. And then you want some flexible material. And I'm going to extend that line out. We've got a little Debbie box, who incidentally, if you didn't know, grew up to be Big Deborah. Just for your information. Okay, now we have 2 consistent lines, right? The same distance from the edge here, and on the same angle, technically, but not really, 90 degrees from the brow there. Take my tape again, and from this edge, I'm going to go up 4 inches. Again, just because that's what I did on the other cab. Go up 4 inches. And this doesn't really translate, but I will show you. That's 4 inches also. Now my extra set of hands went home just a few minutes ago. But we'll see if we can do a good enough job here. I'm lining up straight across, as you can see. Just go like this. You can see I'm actually at 5 inches here, and this is 4 inches, because of the shape of the angry eyes of our brow there. But we are going straight across from point to point. And that may get us, this big dent right here may get us in a little trouble, you know, when we go to weld that on the next cab, but we'll find out. Now, back again with Big Deborah. I am going to line this up so that we know we are straight in line with the rest of our cut. And we're going to carry that on down. You can see it looks like it goes on quite an angle, but it's a consistent line. And that's all we care about. So thank you, Big Deborah. Okay, now you see this inner construction, this nice thick piece of steel here. They've actually got a clutch head screw holding something together there. It's all, you know, the outer skin is all welded, so I would assume at the factory that was holding different layers of, they may have screwed the top piece to the bottom piece before they put the skin on, you know, to hold it all in place or whatever. But I just see that as a convenient place, straight lines on the inside to cut. It may not be consistent with the other cab. We may have to come up with a solution there. Our windshield opening is a consistent measurement to the other one, and our door openings. So I may do a little measuring around. Let me get a brush. I may do a little measuring before I cut and try to see maybe from the bottom up to this edge what that difference in value is, if there is a difference. But anyway, so we're going to cut from this point and wrap this all the way around to where that meets the same material on the other side of it. And using this box, this cardstock, that's going to stay square. The line may not be square, but that'll maintain a consistent line from one piece to the other. Something like that. Okay, so when a guy measures, I did some trigonometry. No, not really. Let me get this real quick. When I measured from our point here down to the end of our inner construction on both cabs, we are very, very close to the same measurement. Even though it looks a little bit different, the angle of the bottom of that piece and so on and so forth, it comes out to about the same measurement. So that's going to be okay. Above all, when we start welding back together, all I need to really worry about is getting my consistent 16-inch gap between my lower and upper windshield cutout. So it's 16 here on both ends, 16 in the very center. Subject number 1 is deleted. Good news, everything seems to be very healthy at the points that we cut it, other than we have some issues with the very edge of our outer skin, I'm sure trying to get the rain gutter off was a big part of why that's broken, so on and so forth. But we will deal with that as we will deal with all of this. under quite a bit of tension it was. Anyway, I'm gonna move on to that one, do the same exact thing, and see if we can get these things tacked together yet today. Threw this clamp on here and was getting all of this lined up nicely, and look how much just pushing that and expecting that to be lined up really brought our two together in the center. Our lines are kind of staggered at this point. Now that one is lined up where I tack welded it, but you can see we got about a 1/4 inch difference. So once I get my ends, or even just this one, since that's set in stone, so to speak, over there tack welded, once I have it set here, I can come along and bring all of this material together and try to get these two to line up. Well, a guy needs to bring the expansion pack of his vice grip collection, my long reach ones, so I can get in there. Also maybe the little twisty, you know, wing nut panel clamp thing. Get along across. It's Friday evening, you know, I'm getting ready to go for the weekend, and we'll just take care of it in the morning on Monday. We got her kind of tacked in there, getting it to move where it needs to go. And I haven't heard from the media blaster guy yet, so I think first thing Monday morning we'll finish this part of it up, tacking wise, and go from there. Well, okay, I'm getting this half lined up, and we're going to start tacking it together a whole lot more. You'll notice these two lines aren't coming together. I started out lining these up, but I'm going to have to undo that. You see, I have quite a ways to go here. Well, I need to get this rain gutter out of the way, but there's about a 1/4 of an inch there, and I can take up some of that. You know, we got to follow the curve yet here, but that is gonna have to be cut off. That's just not gonna work. In fact, it's gonna have to be just about this far off. Boy, I really need to re-level this thing. And that's not a big deal. Evidently, that window, the other window opening, the angles were just a little bit different, or I held the square a little bit different to get my 4 inches, you know. So it should not be a big deal as far as alignment and making it correct. It just looks off now, you know. So I will cut this off and make sure these are aligned, and I bet you we're going to match the other side. Also, I love this little camera, but anytime pretty much I put a segment of music in while I'm working, which I'm not opposed to doing that otherwise, but you see that center button there? It has those 3 modes. Yeah, pretty much anytime I'm adding music, I have accidentally pressed that button instead of the on-off button and changed modes on me, and it's gone into a slow-mo without audio. I've mentioned it before, but it persists in being a constant problem, you know. Anyway, that's why that happens. I'm going to keep working on this. Do I have gas? I mean, I beg your pardon. Doesn't want to weld too well. Alright, my door openings, my edges are lined up and tacked. Looking really good along that curve there. So I concentrated on the center, got that nice and lined up. That is looking really good. So, if our 2 turret tops, you know, were anywhere close to being the same measurement, then these 2 ought to come together. And that's a big ought. We'll find out. If not, we may have to do some shrinking or stretching or whatever the case may be. I think we'll get it. Well, the guy instantly repented of what he said and did in the center. I'm like, nope, that's not the way we do it. We don't get our money for nothing, and definitely not getting chicks for free either. So, I'm just playing leapfrog. I cut those loose, and I'm playing leapfrog with clamps and tacks from both ends, and we're working towards the center. All of that nonsense, that's what I just wanted to say. Alright. I really need to work that crack. I need to slice it, I think, with this. I'm gonna get a point in there. Okay. Okay, everything so far is looking really good. Our gaps look really good, except one spot I'll show you. But I'm going to continue to ride this Lightning. You know, I'm going to continue on for a little while, but we're getting to a point where our Chevy cab is kind of getting stretched. You know, we're reaching the taut point here. And, our supposed GMC cab has got quite a crown on it yet. And I don't think the original had quite that, the Chevy had that quite a pronounced crown, as you look at that, you know. And part of that could be, you know, because of what we're doing. Like I say, I'm just going to continue to ride it out and see how far we get. And at the very end, if I just can't get a gap out, then we come in and we slice this down the center. We remove a little bit of material at a time and bring those two together with that. And that's just the best we can do, you know. One spot that the gap that didn't turn out so great is right here. My transition from bandsaw cut to cutoff wheel cut, you know, it's probably about 2 widths of our blade. And so I just got off from one cab to the other, I suppose, in relation to the line. Or the line could have been just a little bit off too. But otherwise, everything is looking really good. That can easily be fixed while we're welding with a little bit of rod. Let's continue. Well, okay, even those extra welds and adding clamps, this gap just is not going away. Which means we're tight as a drum already, pretty much, on our original panel there. So I'm just going to come in. This can be, as far as I'm concerned, just kind of an arbitrary cut. It doesn't really matter. But I'm just going to slice it here, and then we're going to overlap it and see how we turn out. Alright, it's already doing the job. Already overlapping. And we may have to do that a couple times. Okay, so this is looking pretty good. This half is higher than this half, and I mean fractionally, right? So I'm gonna hammer, both of these are pretty much solid. I'm gonna hammer the left-hand side up to meet this side, just to work up a little bit more of that crown, that center ridge, as much as we possibly can get back out of it. And then I'm gonna say across the top is set in stone. We'll work on the A-pillars, and then that part will be complete. Hey, it's me again, you know, from the thing. I just want to say, absolutely, I could have kept it tacked in the very center, tacked their very edges, made sure those were lined up, tacked it in the center. I would have had to mark by measurement dead center on both pieces and made sure that we got them lined up exactly, and then on each half just work in, you know, come together from half out and in at the same time. However, what I was seeing happening when I did tack this was we had quite a gap spread apart here, not up and down, but forward and backward. And that was just the same result of why we had such a gap here. All that extra material in this one, we had that same problem, but it was just manifesting in the opposite direction. So I did it the way I did it because it seemed to work easier, and the end result, we're absolutely rigid. We have a nice crown. There is no oil canning. A lot of strength. I can't even move that thing. So I think we are good to go. What a guy needs is one of those little handle things with the pins, you know, that you can mark stuff with. I don't know. Anyway, we'll use the cardboard. What I'm wanting to double check is I'm making a pattern off the same exact place as where our crack is, and I'm betting this side is closer to the correct curve as this, not this one. I think this is stretched right there. Good old grandpa had one of those things. Just every once in a great while, the guy kind of needs it, you know. All right, that's pretty close. And see, oh yeah, that half matches it perfectly. That most certainly does not. So since that's stretched, we're just going to come in, slice her up. And we're going to have to see, you know, since I welded it, I'm sure that's buckling it up more. So we'll just slice it once in the center and overlap it, cut it again, and see how good. Because I would say, certainly back by our windshield wiper hole, it's getting pretty good again. Okay. So let's say 4 in, it's already rocking in the center. It looks like we're copying that, so I don't think I even need to slice it again. We might just tack it right there. Drill a hole. Out away from me. So that turned out really well. However, I can tell I still have a high spot, a hump, right in here. And it's just carried over from this problem. This is pretty consistent, this curve, all along till, oh, a good 6 or 8 inches away. And then we start being able to rock it. And, you know, that's pretty consistent with how this is. But way in here, so let's say 4 inches away, right here, we still have full contact on our curve. And we do not here. So, I'm going to carry this line, cut a new one, maybe even a little lower down. And just continue to try to remove some of that extra material in there. See if I can get that to lay just a little flatter. I can feel it right there, and that would be a problem as we move forward. I also have a problem in here. A dent, you know, it may be worth grabbing a mallet and just whacking that a couple times to get that to come up, just so it's much closer to where it needs to be. Let's just do that real quick. Nothing scientific here. Yeah, hey, that helped a lot. A big old dent here we could do. Yeah. I like that. I know you didn't get a great shot of it before, and all of this still looks pretty trashy and horrible. It's all going to be taken care of in good standing, in good time. So, the same exact spot on the other side, we cut our pattern, and where our crack was, you can see that fits it perfectly now. Another 6 inches towards the inside is where I measured to, and we have about an 1/8 of an inch gap that I can rock back and forth total. So another 6 inches here is about the end of our new slit, and we pretty much have the same thing. I can probably flatten that out slightly. Let me double check where I'm at. 12 inch, oh, I was way too far out. 12 inches is right there. Yeah, we're spot on at that point. And we didn't even have to reopen it up or widen it or anything. We're not touching yet. So I did a little bit of hammer and dolly work to get it down to where it is. So I think I'm just gonna zap some tacks on there, and then that is set. And just walk away for now. Oh, that's gonna be fun. Well, at this point, a guy is just gonna continue on more of the same that you've already seen. I want to pop the back glass out, see how this flange is. I may need to use that on the other cab. It's getting pretty bad on that other one. Otherwise, the inner panel, the inner interior panel, I want to get that out in case that's better, and then move on to the inner brace. That looks better than our other cab, so I'll just slice off sections in there and eventually weld that in our cab we're using. I'm gonna go get a pick, see if I can get this inner cord out and pop this glass out, and move on from there. Well, the guy was probably going to wait, but that doesn't make any sense. I want to remove this entire back brace, and I'm going to have to, I have one center brace, vertical brace here that's still attached, so I'll have to pop those spot welds off. But I want to get this out of here so in the long run we can weld our back panel, you know, without this in the way, and then we can also repair this thing. We got rust in 2 spots. Get her out of the way. This one isn't gonna do it. Certainly don't want what's left of this getting sandblasted. Alright, we tipped this thing on firewall. And sort of our last hurrah here, I think, is going to be getting these, I don't know if you really consider them rocker panels. Oh boy, this is going to be great in the shop. Anyway, I want to get them out. They're all held in with machine screws here. Stove bolts, you know. But the bottom door seal is sandwiched between this and the floor. And then of course, when we take and get it blasted, I'd like to get the backs of each, the overlapping panels, blasted as well. So. Get some heat in these threads and see if we can get these loose. You can just hear that rubber boiling in there. Okay, whoops, one more thing that really just makes sense to have separate, and that's the dashboard. I don't know why I wasn't thinking down those lines, but I wasn't. Let's see if we can get this finagled off of here. Hey, what's your problem? Looks like they put too small a defrost ducts from what they originally planned in there. Only held in with one screw. Maybe they ran out. I don't know. Well, I really do think that's going to do it for this video. I'm probably take the defroster ducts out. Might as well. What's left of our hood seal here, just the wire and the clips hanging in there. I'll get on just half of it. I'll get that taken off. Other than that, it is ready to be loaded up on the trailer and taken to the Media Blaster Man. And like I've said throughout the video, I'm just waiting on the call from him that the Nova is done, and then I will take this. Far enough trip that I just don't feel like making a special one, you know. And he's got to have time to do it too. Now, as far as the interior panels, what's cool about this job is everything as you see it, plus the little rockers and so on, everything can be painted our body color as it sits. And then all of our interior panels, dashboard, that inner construction, and everything else that we took out of there, all the trim strips that hold the headliner in, the seals in, all of that can be painted the interior color, which personally I would still like to go back to the golden grayish, champagne-ish color that it originally was. We'll see what the owner says. You know, all of that can be painted out of the vehicle and put back at our leisure. We don't have to tape off and all that nonsense, you know. So, anyway, great progress on the cabs. It's a shame the other one didn't work out. I want to do a little research on two things. What first of all, I really haven't nailed down what year model the donor cab was. Maybe 39, maybe 40. If it's GMC, I could do a quick search on my phone, but I just haven't. Did 39 GMC already have the rectangular gauges? Or like Chevrolet, was that the only difference going into 40? And then the clutch head screws. I was a little surprised that this Chevy had all original slotted screws, whereas the GMC had the clutch. Kind of interesting. Anyway, we're getting to a good usable cab now. So that's gonna do it, guys. Oh, and I am gonna go out before I abandon the second cab out in my boneyard. We may as well keep it if we ever, actually I may have a project idea for the other firewall and cowling. It would be significantly modified. So I could harvest that off that other cab. But right now, this morning yet, before that goes outside, I might as well pop this off of that one so it's not sitting out in the weather. We'll store it up in case we ever need it. Maybe we'll even, restore it as well, paint it, and hang it on the wall. Who knows? Anyway, thanks a lot for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. God bless. We'll see you on the next one. I'd like to put that like on a desk. Curved monitor, maybe video game steering wheel.